Welcome back to the Love Inspired Leadership Podcast. We are so grateful that you've made the decision to be here. And I want to let you know this interview, I am completely intrigued by this woman. I am. And I'm also really joy filled for the courage that she has shown up for herself significantly in her own life and the incredible difference she's making in both men and women's lives, both professionally and personally. And as you know, at the Love Inspired Leadership Podcast, it's all about truth. And it's all about coming to that place of loving leadership. So we're going to get started. So I'm going to introduce you to her. And her name is Cassie Shea. She was introduced to me by someone who I highly respect in the marketing world. And she told me that I was going to love her. And we had a conversation before here, didn't we, Shea? And I have already. So I'm honored to bring you Cassie Shea. She's the founder of The Possibility Investor, a guide for high-performing entrepreneurs who know they are meant for more and are ready to become who their next level requires. It is through her work that she helps founders break through their revenue plateaus, not by pushing and making it harder, but by transforming identity, alignment, and internal leadership. Oh, all those words are my words. I'm so excited about this interview. She doesn't just take the journey as a growth coach, she actually architects futures. Oh. So if you're feeling the pull at this time in your life, or this pull towards your next chapter, sensing that your current identity can no longer hold that beautiful, bold vision that is in your mind and in your heart and in your soul, this conversation will meet you right where you are. Oof. Cassie, what a start. I got truth bumps all over. I don't call them goosebumps. I call them truth bumps. So thank you. So why don't we just dive in to the very beginning? Now, what is it that set you on this incredible path of being purposeful and passionate about identity-based work and entrepreneurship?
Carolyn, thanks for having me. Your energy is palpable, and I'm just so excited to share my story. And one of the things that I think about, especially when I'm in front of a live audience, and I believe our audience is live, right? They're with us, whether they see this tomorrow or in 2 years from now. Um, I would invite anyone listening to hear this story, whatever I share about myself or from my heart, as if it were about you, to really step into the story, because I think some of what I'm going to share today are more universal principles that anyone could try on. And one of the things I've thought about a lot is we're all super unique, but we all share due to unit of consciousness. Like we're all having somewhat of the same experience in different bodies. And so when I think about identity work, Carolyn, I go back to actually 9 or 10 years ago, and I was incredibly unsatisfied in my career. I just finished my MBA, and I had this feeling that I was meant to do more. And I was in a remotely like entry level job. It wasn't anything too exciting. I think I was making about 50,000 a year USD, which is not a ton of money. And I was pretty low on the totem pole. I was working at a startup at the intersection of content and commerce down in Venice Beach. And I sat there and I just felt so depleted at the end of every day. Like I know I was meant for more. And yet, the tasks in front of me, my 3+ hour commute every day across Los Angeles, was just feeling so fruitless. And I knew that I had to take charge. I had to be the agent of my own life to create a change. And I wasn't sure how to do that yet. And I created this process that I've iterated on now. I've been a coach and had my own business for 6 years. So I've been iterating on this for 9+ years, but this started with me and started with the work I did on myself. And so I future cast a vision. I was like, I don't like the trajectory I'm on. I don't like how much money I'm making. I hate my 3 hour commute. I'm so depleted. I don't like that I'm not involved in interesting strategic meetings. Like, I feel like I have so much more to offer, and I'm just sitting in this corner, like working on spreadsheets and doing my little section of the world. And I tried to do the best I could with that, but I knew that I was underutilized. And so I set out to future cast a different vision. And at the time, what I thought that looked like, I was in a sales org, what I thought that looked like was a chief revenue officer. So I was like, well, what does the top of whatever I'm doing look like? And so I built this process that I've just continued to iterate on and iterate on over the last 9 years with clients. But I basically came up with my future self identity. And it
Beautiful.
started with the question of like, what do I want? And we can totally get into that more later because I think that's the genesis of so much self-truth and honesty. And there's a lot of blocks to get to that question. But I started with just a rough idea. What do I want? Well, I want more influence. I want more impact. I want more income. I want to feel like I have a seat at the table. And I want to be in a leadership role. Like I want to drive change for others. And so I set about and I made this scorecard. I actually use this as an artifact sometimes in coaching, and I show my clients this like really messy scorecard from 9 years ago. And I figured out like what does a chief revenue officer do? Like what are their functional capabilities? And what are the skills that they have? And I created 3 buckets around
Beautiful.
leadership, change management, things that I didn't necessarily know. And then I gave myself a score on each of those. And then I took it a step further and I said, what are the projects I could be doing in the company, extracurricular, like outside of my 9 to 5? What are the projects I could be doing and supporting so that I could grow my skills? And I think that's one of the most practical pieces to identity work. And I know we're going to unpack that a lot more. But when we future cast a different vision of ourselves and we want to be an agent to take change in our lives, one of the challenges is we often look at that scorecard and we're like, wow, there's a huge gap between where I am today and where I want to be. And so what I did is create really intentional moments where I could gain skills and experience. And I actually took that to my boss and he's like, where did you get this? I was like, oh, I invented this. I invented this system. Um, and I took an opportunity to do that. I'm so sorry. My phone is ringing. Can you hear that? I know I'm interrupting our
It's fine. We'll just pause.
the structure. I created a system to plan my identity choreography, like to plan intentionally who I was becoming as a leader. And I repeated that system every quarter. And by the end of, I think it actually only took about 6 months from the point where I started, I doubled my salary. I left that job, got another job, doubled my salary, and became about a year and a half after that a director of operations over a $14 million profit and loss statement with working with 14 people on my team. So there was a lot of movement very quickly from systematizing who do I want to be in the future? How do I bridge the gap and gain those skills now? And how do I intentionally keep that identity that I am moving towards? How do I live that from the inside out before it's true? And then the universe rearranged my 3D reality and it became true very quickly.
Yeah, and it's living it from the inside out. Truly. That is a profound statement. And vision casting. I love that statement. I've used it many times myself. And from your professional opinion, you've worked a lot with clients. I think you said over 35,000 hours of working with clients. Is how do you find people with their own ability to vision cast? Because my experience is some people have a very difficult time to be able to create that vision cast of what we want and who we want to become and be as this identity holder of that success. So what have you found with your clients?
I'll key in on one phrase that you said, and I say this in somewhat of a cheeky way and also a very humble way. The hardest question for any of us to answer is what do you want?
Mm-hmm.
And there's so many reasons why I think that question is difficult. And my method, that's layer number one. And it's like we can't pass go until we actually answer that question. And the truth is, with working with clients one to one, sometimes we sit with that for 6+ months. Yes, there's so much other work going on and we make forward progress, but there's a couple of reasons why I think it's really hard to express what we want. There's a lot of conditioning, whether
Mhm.
it's your gender or where you were born or your socioeconomic class or your educational status. Like there's so many external factors, your marital status. There's so many external factors to what we feel we are allowed to want. And these conditions that society has put us on or that we're born into that say, hey, these are the thresholds or these are the limits. And you're not allowed to necessarily want more. Like, for example, I'm a first generation college student, which sometimes surprises people. And I don't know why. But I wanted something very different for my educational attainment, partially because I'm just one of the most curious people I know. And I changed my major 13 times in undergrad because I wanted to study literally everything. And I ended up with two majors and a minor in English literature, theology, and then humanities because I wanted to read all the things and explore meaning and text and how those two things went together. So the question and sitting with it really deeply, and anyone who's listening, I would maybe start a list of what you don't want as a way into the question. Because sometimes that peeling back that layer and being able to be honest about what we no longer want, that another way to say that is that's a new threshold or a new floor that we're setting for ourselves. And that's really important in identity work because we need to be able to progress past what's comfortable for us, past what's familiar. And so, if we can get clear on what we don't want, sometimes that creates some of the constraints and the conditions for what we do want. Because if we start asking that question out of a complete vacuum, true freedom is sometimes so overwhelming that we have to take a step back and actually start putting some constraints around the question before we can start answering what do we want. And then the second block or the second layer where I move clients through is deserving. Do you feel you're
Yes.
allowed to have what you want? So if I come from a family where, the median income is X, whatever that number is, and everyone in my extended family sort of lives in that pattern, and I want something really different in terms of whatever, geography or location or lifestyle or family creation or money. I think money is an easy one to talk about because it rocks the boat in somewhat of an external fashion.
Yes.
And it's something we can sort of tangibly touch in a way, even though it's just energy. If I want to be, for example, a multi-seven-figure business owner, and everyone in my family has been very comfortable making, 250 cap, that rocks the boat in some level. And I might have a story subconsciously, like I don't deserve to go above that mark. And there's a very I think there's just a huge gap in talking about deserving and what role we feel that that plays and how much we're allowed to hold. Like it's one thing to get clear on what you want, and it's a second thing to actually even chemically in our brain, like wanting something that's different than what you have activates dopamine. In our brain, it's that chemical that's that get up and go, like let's charge after it function. And in our culture, I think we're a little addicted to dopamine, specifically in the entrepreneurial world. But there's different chemicals like oxytocin and others that are the chemicals that allow us to like what we already have,
Yes.
or to feel like once we acquire that thing we want, that we're satisfied and satiated and happy with it. And it's interesting that some of the brain science that we know backs up some of this process. But if our ability to get up and go after the thing that we want doesn't match our ability to actually enjoy it once we have it, there's somewhat of a mismatch there. And
Yes.
so part of the process of identity work and part of what I work on with clients is expanding our capacity to hold the good things, one, that are already here, the good things that are coming, and to also know that once you continue stretching your imagination of yourself and what's possible, you're going to want different things, and that's okay. Like that process doesn't really end. I think of desire as somewhat like a divine compass, like it's guiding us to new things. That doesn't necessarily mean more, but it can, and that's okay if we allow our deserving level to catch up with our imagination.
So true. And I I have been around neuroscience and just came back from a huge conference about positive psychology, and a lot of professors and really wise people from Cambridge and Harvard were there. And a lot was said about gratitude
Mm,
and how gratitude can truly transform our position in
mm.
regards to our own experience of life. And I agree with that. I mean, I have my morning rituals. I'm just curious, what do you have rituals that you follow in the morning, in the evening? I mean, that always fascinates me, and I think it gives our audience some interesting places to focus on to start their day and end their day. So I'm just curious if you have those as well.
I do. So part of my ritual is to create open space. And that's something that I view as a part of my rich life is the more open my calendar is, the happier I am as a person. So I give myself permission to not be rigid. I give myself permission to do in the morning, like I call it more of a joy routine or a joy ritual. Like, what would make me feel so good? Before I got out of bed, I think about like, what would just make me feel so good right now? Like, not even day. I don't even like rehearse the whole day. I'm just like, what would make me feel so good? Usually it's some level of like my super cozy robe and my really cozy slippers and a cup of tea. And I think about like, oh, do I want chai today? Do I want my green tea? Today was a green tea day. And usually it's opening up a book or starting a journal. Like it's starting with something creative and fun just for the joy of it. It's not reading business books, it's not looking at the news. I don't open my social media. Like I just live in the joy of the present. And I also do some level of a body scan, like just checking in with my body. How did I sleep? How do I feel? What were my dreams? Are there any messages that I want to receive from them? And then I do a very specific, so that's all sort of fluid, and it's almost like I give myself a menu of choices and I follow the joy, I follow the pleasure. And to me, that feels like I'm the richest person in the world. I don't wake up with an alarm clock.
Me neither.
I get to do whatever the hell I want when I wake up every day. Like, it doesn't matter if it's a
Me neither.
Saturday or Tuesday or Thursday, like, it doesn't matter. And to me, that's the marker of a really rich life. Like, to me, that's like I've
That's
made a commitment
prosperity and
every day.
freedom. Yes,
And I don't take that for granted. Speaking of the gratitude, like I really don't take that for granted. And I joke with some of my friends, I'm like, I really don't know what day it is because I'm having so much fun on Tuesday. Like, what is
yes.
today? Monday? Like, I was so excited for today to wake up and have this conversation.
Me too.
Did my joy routine. I'm reading Harry Potter for the first time ever. I totally missed that boat earlier. And I'm on book 4 after like 3 days. So I'm just like blazing through it. And I had my
Beautiful.
green tea and just like nurtured. But I do a choreography that I could give our listeners. And to me, that's different than like architecting your dream schedule. And that's something that I often look at my clients. Like the first thing I do, typically with a new client after 1 or 2 meetings, is I have them open up their calendar and I look at like who's your identity based on what you're putting your time towards.
Oof.
And what you're
Okay.
putting your time
Pause.
towards is going
Pause.
to tell you
Pause. Pause.
everything.
Pause. Pause. That is huge. Hold on. Hold on. Hold the bus. Okay, we're gonna hold the bus here because this
We're
what you
holding.
just said is so profound, and I changed that a few years ago as well, and the incredible impact. So say that slower, please. And I want the audience to just absorb this information because this is a profound, I guess, got truth bumps again. This is a profound decision for you to make within yourself. So say that again, please.
When I open my client's calendar, I will see who their identity story is. Like I will see who they're being and what they're voting for with your time. Because what you're voting for with your time tells me what your priorities are and who you are being. And it's really easy to tell. Like it's kind of like the money piece. Like it's easy to tell with money because we know like it's this amount or this amount. But time is actually the same thing. Time is a currency. It's where we're putting our attention and our energy. It's what we're voting for. And so I look for two things, what's on their calendar, what's not on their calendar. I look for things like, do they have a vacation booked? Is their time blocked out to be in creative mode, in the mode of creation, in even just empty receiving? Is there time like if I feel like I'm suffocating looking at their calendar, I know they must feel like they're
Well,
suffocating.
it's
So it's
it's
a
so
very quick way.
constricting too, right?
Oh my
It's
gosh.
just
Yeah. And so one of the things very practically, I'm having one of my clients do in live time. I love this feature. I haven't done it fully for my calendar, but I'm in the process because my client inspired me. That's why I love working with entrepreneurs. Like I'm
Me
learning
too.
with them. And so he puts now on his calendar and he shows me where he's living in his future self. So obviously, as an entrepreneur, we have the day-to-day things that we're doing to run our business and run our lives. I have my grocery delivery check on my calendar. Like I know to order my groceries on this date at this time. So there's things that we're doing that are running our practical 3D day-to-day lives. But there has to be a time on your calendar where you're acting and living into your future self. And if I don't see that on the calendar, I want to see it. And so his is in gold. I think it's gold or yellow.
I love it.
Um,
Well, everything's about keys for me,
yourself.
opening doors to opportunity and possibility. So the golden key is in the golden time frame blocked out. I mean, that is beautiful. Okay, I love it. I love it. So, how long has he been doing it? And has he noticed the difference within himself?
We've only been doing this experiment for about 2.5 or 3 weeks. And he runs a fintech company out of San Francisco. And they're looking to do a $10 million raise. And I need to text him today, actually, because I think they were going to have their term sheet by December 31st. So after 2.5 weeks of charting, how much are you living into your future self? And the second question was, what are your top two priorities to finish by the end of the year? Like we started this again just a couple weeks ago. So this was already into December. And we got really clear on what are the top two things he needs to focus on to end the year strong. And
Mhm.
fundraising was one of them. And so the fact that he's at least had a verbal commitment to review a term sheet, like in 2.5 weeks of dedicated intention and spending time.
Yes.
Obviously, that's time cultivating relationships, doing decks, um, prepping speaking, following up on meetings. Like there's a lot that goes into that. And
Yes.
so we charted all of that against his future self because that's the one big move that's going to create a huge amount of momentum in their company. And so if I take that on a practical level, even for me, if you're not raising $10 million for your fintech startup, for me, it looks like I spend 2 hours at least every week coaching myself. I go
Mhm.
through all the tools that I give to my clients. I go through experimental tools that I'm working on to see how they work and living it. And so, whatever your profession is, if you're in marketing, for example, are you spending at least some amount of time, 2 hours plus a week, marketing your agency? We're often, as business owners and entrepreneurs, like we're givers and we're creators, but the number one shift in terms of both identity and income is if you flip the magic that you do for others onto yourself and you make
Yes.
your business your client. So Cass is a client of Cass. Your income explodes because you're moving from a place of integrity with your identity. And that's the fastest way that I've seen for clients. The fastest example I can give you from last fall is I asked a client who was in the marketing space and he was feeling like he hasn't closed enough leads recently and he wasn't moving business as fast as he wanted to. And I said, you do some really brilliant things with large companies. Just dumb it down for me. Like, tell me like I'm a 5-year-old. What do you do again? He starts telling me. And I was like, great. So really you're aligning sales and marketing, which historically don't always get along in huge companies. There's the question of like leads and who's closing them and what the quality is. And then did the salesperson do a good job? Did the marketing person do a good job? And so there's kind of this tension that happens. And he goes in and he erases that tension and makes sure they're working together. I was like, huh, that's a little different than I thought. And I asked him, how much time would it take you per week? And how many team members would you need if you ran that same playbook on yourself? And he said it would take me 1 hour a week and I would need one team member. I said, great. Report back. After 1 week, he closed a $95,000 deal.
Fantastic.
For 2 months, he added $2 million in contracts for the next 12 months to the company. Closed. And so, one of the biggest things, to tying it back to gratitude, is being so grateful for where we are now and who we are, and even the skills and gifts that we've been given. I believe our gifts are meant to be given away to others.
Me too. Me
And
too.
so, why don't we celebrate and be grateful for them? But then the next layer is, can we do the gifts that we want to give to others on ourselves, on our own companies, as
Yes.
a portfolio, right? Like, again, Cass needs to be a coaching client of Cass. if I want to continue growing as a coach. I realize that very quickly because otherwise I'm outsourcing, and I do have a team of people I work with, by the way. I am a coach who's always invested in myself through other resources to the tune of, I think I'm 6 years in business and I've spent over $100,000 on coaching and services to help me grow. So I realize it's kind of like a second master's degree. It's just one that
Oh,
I
it is.
took all the curriculum and got to do it at my own pace, which was way more fun.
Awesome.
So we have to become our own best client if we want to grow, which kind of sounds counterintuitive because we often think there's somebody outside of us who can get us there. But the truth is, like, yes, it takes a community, and I'm a big believer in the power of coaching and community. But second, like, we need to be an agent, bring it back. We need to have our own sense of self-agency in order to create that change we want in our life. And that usually starts with us becoming our own best client.
I agree. And, the many clients that I've supported over the last 30 years, the part that I find intriguing and interesting is they allow their clients to tell them their value rather than looking in the mirror and genuinely, sincerely, intentionally owning and feeling the gratitude for those gifts, those expertise, those, incredible pieces of wisdom that they bring as being in service in their role and responsibility too.
Mm.
Right? Awesome. Oh my goodness, this is so good. So, what inspired you to create? Is this method you're speaking of the possibility method? Is that it?
Yes.
Okay. And what do you see is missing in the traditional scaling conversations in supporting entrepreneurs or founders to get to that next level within their business?
I'm a aspiring home chef, so I think of things like recipes. And I think all of the traditional business wisdom around revenue strategy and go to market and marketing and relationships, like all of that is good and exists. And if you're not powering it with, I believe that the key ingredient, like the baseline for all change as leaders is your identity.
Agreed.
And what I mean by that is if I have an identity. For example, I'll share like a little bit about my last 6 months in creating the possibility investor. My identity has been an executive coach. I think I've kicked butt. Like I'm just at the end of this year crossing $800,000 cumulative revenue in my business over the last 6 years. And I took about a year off in there. So I'm super stoked about that, especially because I work about 15 hours a week. I'm multi six figure run rate, and I have 5 clients usually at a time. That's fully booked for me. And so I've developed a really wonderful lifestyle around being able to use my gifts. And if I had continued to use coach as kind of the only identity marker for me,
Yes.
it was starting to limit my imagination about what was possible. Because I love deep individual one-on-one transformation. And I never want to get fully away from that. But I was feeling this, I mean, the best way I can describe it, Carolyn, is I was feeling this call in my heart to change. And it was really,
Can I ask, can I interrupt? Was it
yeah.
kind of a yearning and a knowing? Again, where we started, that there was something even more that you were meant to move into that felt like an internal calling within yourself. Is that what you mean?
Exactly. And what was so frustrating is I have not had children yet. I'm in my mid 30s. I'm getting married next year. And so I've been
Congratulations.
developing, thank you. I've been developing this business because I'm like, oh, it's like super simple and like not complicated. And I can deliver in like about 10 to 15 hours a week if I really like I'm smart about things. I work with people I just adore the heck out of. Like I love my clients. Um, and as I'm inching closer to getting married in about 9.5 months and wanting to start a family soon after that, I'm like, holy heck, like I didn't expect the desire in me to build a bigger business. I'm like, no, 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 no. Like my plan has been for years, build a very simple, high earning, effective position for myself where I can do what I love and it's not complicated. And the biggest shift for me, intersecting the personal and the professional is thinking about being the wife and the mom I want to be, being the present person I want to be in my life, is now intersecting with my creative self, who, like, to your point, like this calling, like it felt like almost from the inside out. And I was like, shh, no. Like at first I was like,
No,
stop.
it is a calling. And it comes at different stages of life. I've had it happen to me many times, and it's an internal voice of wisdom
Mm,
because you give it space to be heard, which I love that about you. And I want the audience to take that away as creating that space for grace, that I call it,
yep.
that you can have that room and, oh, got truth bumps again. That room and space to be able to hear that internal voice of wisdom, because it will guide you and direct you, and it will call you forward, even like you said, sometimes in positions like, no, 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 thank you. But,
Doesn't make
thank you
sense.
for sharing. Thank you for sharing. That's what I've said. Thank you for sharing. And it will continue as long as, I think, as a human being, taking that time to honor oneself and
Mm,
create that space. And I personally, in my leadership role and in my position in the world, listen to that voice intently every
mm,
day. And
mm.
I love, so what's your voice saying now to you, Cassie?
So my voice was saying things that, to your point, I'm like, thank you. Like next suggestion, like let's roll through this. And my voice was saying, I mean, just very vulnerably, it's time to universalize this information. It's unfair if I keep this a secret. And that kind of brings me to tears, actually. I'd never fully made that connection. You get truth bumps, I just get tears. And I'm always like, no, 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 don't cry, don't cry. Um, but to me, that's like tears are like your heart opening, right?
They are. And
And
they're beautiful, and it takes a lot of courage to cry. And I want the audience to know that too. And it's a beautiful, beautiful, sacred moment
mm,
when tears arrive, because your heart is opening and
mm.
it's truth being spoken. Beautiful.
So for me, it felt like, and I can even feel it now, like it felt like my chest was kind of bursting open, like almost like a closet opening. And it was about 6 months ago. And so this is still really fresh for me in the timeline of life. Who knows what time is anyway. And I felt this feeling of like, it's time to share what you know. And my comfort zone is being the guide, being on call for clients, being the secret weapon behind the scenes. You know, in
Mm-hmm.
my W-2 life, I was chief of staff. Like I was good at fixing things before anyone knew they were problems. Like I love that. And and it was very similar to that feeling 9 years ago. Although 9 years ago, that feeling was coming from a different place. It was coming from more scarcity. Like I don't know how I'm gonna live if I don't like get up and go and make something of my life. Like I don't make enough money. It was very much a scarcity feeling.
Mm-hmm.
But so different this time, and I've talked to so many clients about this year and deep friends in business. We're often motivated by our fears or by our scarcity. Like we start our business, in some ways, it's kind of a response to trauma. Like we don't like how things are feeling or we don't like our opportunities in life. And so we're going to get up and go and make something different. And this is the complete opposite. I'm like, I
It
don't need to
is.
make any more money. I don't need to make any more like friends. Like I have the biggest, best network in the world. And the call in my heart very clearly was it's time to be seen and to see others. And that's part of what I think about with future casting. And
Yes.
it's something that I want to find even more and better words to share with people. But part of what I feel like my life imprint is here to do is to show people like it doesn't matter what happened in the past. It doesn't matter what got you to right now. You can change any of it, and the future can look completely different, including like the next breath, including tomorrow, including in 1 year. And there is a deep desire for me to give people more of these tools because now I've started to systematize it and I understand how that's working. Um,
Well, you know what's happening here? I love it because it's my favorite thing. You're going from this practical, systemized, structured tools and process, which is all here, You're traveling the 18 inches. That's all it is for those
It's
people that are listening.
a long
It's
journey.
going right into here, my darling. It's going right into your heart. And we are not given these gifts to keep for ourselves. That's why I started this podcast, because love and leading from a place of loving leadership, I believe, is all of our calling. It is a identity transformation and becoming. And it is, to me, the most beautiful, sacred opportunity to witness people like yourself just settling into this new role, responsibility. And I guarantee you, with my life, Cassie, it flows in a lighter form. It has a grace and a ease and a lightness to it, because it's connected to why you're here. It's connected to your own personal living legacy. And oof, that brings tears to my eyes too, because we have all been given gifts. You have been given yours. I have been given, and anybody listening here, we're not meant to keep that. Like for you, it's clinical psychology, positive identity, science, systems, structure, process. I mean, you've changed a lot of guided and supported change in a lot of people's lives. Now it's you're being invited and called more of that with the world in different forms. Am I right?
And I would love to say, like, for anyone listening, like, sometimes your gifts scare you. At least for me. Like, I've been told by others as early as 12 years old, you scare people. Like, your words scare people, your wisdom scares people. I was just always a very, very old soul. And I learned this concept that I feel like might help others if they're like unsure of how to share their gifts. And I feel like, Carolyn, I just feel like you and I have known each other for forever. It's been like an
I
hour.
told you.
So I wanted to share this with others because this has really helped me. And I'm sharing really from a place today of like that lived wisdom experience because I've been trying this on. Like I've seen this work with clients for years. And I was so scared to do the process on myself for a really long time because I'm like, oh no, it works on them, but like, I don't know if it could work on me. And there was this concept I learned this summer called trans surfing.
Oh, I know it well.
You know it. Okay.
Oh,
So
I
this is
do.
like,
It is absolutely brilliant. I have a close strategic alliance that's what she specializes. So I know exactly what you're talking about.
oh
And
my
so
gosh, I have to meet
do
you
you want to
after.
go into that just a little bit? Because that is
Really?
so simple and profound to understand our lives even more in a simpler, more meaningful way. So I'm going to let you dive in.
Well, I am just a nerd looking for like how can we change? Like that's like a huge part of my imprint, especially with identity work. And it's like it's almost like method acting. Like how do you
Yeah.
like try on a different outfit and like become someone new? Because our identity isn't fixed, it's chosen. Like it is fluid. And so one of the things specific to the word chosen, I learned this summer about transurfing is if we think about the branch of reality in the quantum space of possibility, there's a version of Cass. So I already told you my business is multi six figures. I serve 5 clients. I love my life. I have the most free schedule of any human I know, actually. um, and there's a version of myself in transurfing. There's the principle that there's a version of you who's already doing the thing that you think you might want to do. So, future self Cass, I'll tell you my um, future casting vision of myself that I'm stepping into
Great.
is that I run 100% projector optimized business. I'm a projector in human design, and I'm optional within my business, which means my business can run without me. Right now, I have a very successful coaching practice, and I make money if I'm on Zoom interacting with clients on a regular basis. And I'm now moving into, in 2026, a business that can run without me, where I can teach people what I know. They can serve clients. I will always be able to work with clients on some level because I love it so much. But my business now can live as an entity energetically outside of me. And so part of me, there's parts, right? There's part of me that's kicking and screaming, going, Cass, like that's way too different than where you are today. And the principle of transurfing is there's already a version of me who's done it. There's already a version of me who is doing it. And I simply need to tune in and
Mhm.
find that version and align to her, which sounds like, okay, that was a lot of esoteric words. Let me explain it in a very practical sense. This summer, I had, like I said, that calling 6 months ago, and I took action. I started writing down everything I knew. And if the identity shift was from coach to teacher, that was part of my identity shift this summer that I started playing with. Then I'm like, okay, well, how would I teach? How would I teach identity work to others? So then I started talking about it after about 2 months. And I ran a certification over the summer where I taught 12 other coaches
Great.
how to coach the possibility method. I sold this while I was running around London on vacation in Portugal. I was in Europe for 2 weeks by myself, hanging out with my friends. And I sold $10,000 worth of a new product that I created from my imagination over the course of a couple months. And the way I did it was literally I transurfed and I said, what is the version of Cass who's already teaching this material? How would she think? What would her posture be? What clothes might she wear? Like, what would she be spending her time doing? And I just started holding that vision and then allowing,
Yes.
you said about this is allowing the ideas to come to you, which is
Yes.
why we need free space in our calendar. Because if we're too,
Do.
we don't have time for the ideas to come to us. And
Hmm.
so I opened up my receptivity and I just said, okay, I'm transurfing. Like I am literally choosing this new reality and I'm going to allow the ideas to come to me. And then I'm going to take action on them when they come. Like I'll
I
filter them
guarantee
by knowing.
myself that I will take action on those ideas when they come. Now, that's an critical, important piece. It's not just thinking about it, it's taking intentional action on those ideas. That's
Because
the
they're
piece.
alive. And if they're coming to you and you're not taking action, they're kind of like little gnomes. Like they're just going to like get up and go to the
Well, they're
next
just
person.
going to walk
They're
right
gonna
on
walk to the
by.
next
It's
garden.
like they're
Exactly.
just going to go.
Yeah. They're alive and they're here. There's a
Little
Greek word that I'm
gnomes.
working
That's
on.
funny. Little
Like
gnomes.
they're little
That's so
gnomes. I
funny.
I like love garden gnomes. I think they're so
Oh,
charming
that's
and
hilarious.
silly. So
I
it's like
love
the
it.
idea comes, it's this little garden gnome that like arrives on your doorstep and it's like either you let it in and you ask it like, hey, what are you up to? And like, do we want to play together? The idea is that ideas maybe aren't ours even. They're gifts like our gifts, and we're creating this loop of exchange. And so if we're not taking action, we're not participating in the cycle of creation. We're not participating in the law of exchange. Like I can't put an idea out and then not take action on it and expect to get something from that. That's very selfish. It's like you're not
Mhm.
playing right. You're not playing well with others.
Exactly.
And so
And you're
this
not
idea
playing
of
right with yourself. I mean,
exactly,
let's be
and
real.
you're out of integrity because you're telling
Yes.
yourself, it's okay, I'll give myself a pass. It's okay, like I'll give myself a pass. And
Mm-mm.
you're limiting your self-trust
Yes.
because you're not trusting yourself to take that action.
Yes. That's step two of my aim high system. The first one is truth. The second one's trust. And it's all about self-trust because until we can be in that position within integrity, within ourselves, to trust ourselves, to follow through with what it is that we're intentionally going to do, it's very difficult to manifest anything, right?
Exactly. And the idea of transurfing that I love so much is it's not that you're creating out of nothing. It's not that you're creating ex nihilo, which means in Latin, like out of nothing. You're creating because you're choosing a reality that already exists and you're aligning to that.
That's right.
And so when I do that, like I'll share just a very practical way for others listening. I will literally take myself on a walk and walk as if I'm my future self. Like think about my posture, think about what thoughts would I be having that are different if this new reality were true? How good
Mm-hmm.
would I feel? What would I be choosing to do with the extra money coming in? Like how would I be choosing to be generous in new and interesting ways? How would I be reinvesting in myself? Like what are the things I would be doing to live as if that were true. And then I personally like extract those emotions. Am I feeling more stability? Am I feeling more assurance? Am I feeling more resilient? Am I feeling like buoyancy? And then I look for ways that I can start feeling those emotions now. Because
Yes.
often we decide to become a different version of ourselves because we want to feel different. This is one of the principles I teach in identity work. And you don't necessarily need to create this huge, massive change in your life to feel different. Like you're allowed to start feeling different right here, right now. And that's
This
what that's
moment,
time.
this moment, this moment. So I want the audience to realize you have an opportunity here listening to this. And I think you're listening for an absolute reason. I think this is a message for each one of you listening right now, because it is up to me what can be. And when we intentionally make that final and clear decision to transform, as you're speaking of, research transurfing, go on YouTube. Oh my goodness, get the books that are there. I mean, there's so much for you, but I want you to take action. That is the invitation at this moment, to take action on what you're hearing here within this podcast. You hear Cassie's life. You know a lot of my life from all these podcasts that I have done. And we're inviting you to look at this position, this point in time, to be the time to, I love when you said, it's holding this future cast vision of ourselves. I've done it many times myself. I mean, that's how I created two amazing human beings in my life,
Mm.
by the way. It's how I had great births. It's everything is holding this vision, and being able to not only think about it, but to feel it and have
Mm.
the emotions with it, you said. And I want the audience to extract that piece, because that's the game-changing piece to me. It's holding it sacredly in a way of honor and dignity and respect. And it's feeling those feelings and emotions. And it's so powerful. And it is this simple, as Cassie is stating right now. So I'll let you continue with that. I just had to anchor that.
I I absolutely love it. This is such a fun exchange.
Yeah.
If I may, I'd love to give the audience one more practical tool
Perfect.
because I feel like some of the concepts we're talking about, they can live up here.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to really be able to ground people into how do you take action on this? Like you said, how do you take action on it? Like when you hear this, start doing something different. Um, we already mentioned this, but the number one thing is to clear time on your calendar intentionally to do nothing, whether that's taking a walk without a destination, whether that's doing a yoga class where you literally stretch in one position for the entire hour. Like, do less. That's actually been the most impactful thing in my business because this level of change is it's like being an elite athlete. You need more rest and recuperation. But there's one thing that I've started doing with all my clients and myself this year that's made a huge difference, and it's the power of mental rehearsal. And I
Mm.
this is different than visualization. I believe visualization is a great tool, and many people talk about it, and so I will let them educate you on the internet and otherwise. What I want to talk about is mental rehearsal. And there's a study. I love NBA playoffs in particular. I love basketball. And there's a study where they did three control groups to improve three-point shots. The first study, or the first group rather, practiced their shots in person. They practiced the embodied shots on the court. Second group did nothing. They were the control group. And third group mentally rehearsed, which is different than visualization. It's taking every single detail and making it as real as possible. The colors, the smell of the sweat, the placement of your feet on the court, and you're mentally rehearsing three-point shots. And in this study, the control group, the people that did nothing, didn't improve at all. But the people who shot embodied three-point shots and the people that did mental rehearsal improved to the same degree for their three-point shots, which means the brain doesn't know the difference
No,
between
it
a mental
doesn't.
rehearsal and a live embodied action. Now, both is kind of the ideal. But as we're thinking about future casting and becoming our future selves and imagining this new reality that doesn't exist yet, I would challenge you. I do three choreographies for myself in the morning. And they're all sort of related right now to money, or actually for and or impact. So I don't just do money because to me that's not really my aim. It's not really what I'm going for. But it's just a tangible thing to sort of wrap my head around. But what I would encourage you to do is to mentally rehearse anywhere from one to four key actions that your future self is taking. So if you're preparing for a speech, for example, it would be looking at mentally What is my outfit? What is my go-day routine? How am I doing my hair and makeup? What am I drinking right before I go on stage? What is the quality of my vocal warm-up? You're rehearsing in detail, and if you can bring in the five senses, that's even better. For me, I've been on a tremendous journey with changing my money story. And so there's four choreographies I do that change how I feel in relationship to money. The first one was imagining opening up my investment app and seeing that it has a seven-figure net worth in it, which is not currently where I am. And the first time I did this, the truth is, can I be really honest?
Yes.
Get the F out of here, Cass. Like, that was my body reaction when I started this about 4 months ago. It was like, of course, that's not true. Because in material reality, as of today, it's not. But
Mhm.
we know that the fastest way to change is actually to rehearse a different reality. And
Yes.
so I imagine the color of the app, when I open it, how I open it, what I'm looking for, what's there, my gratitude for the clients that have come into my life,
Yes.
my feeling of excitement that I've done something that I thought was initially impossible and I overcame this challenge. I'm the richest woman in my family lineage. Like I start rehearsing and it's not about visualization as like this imaginary idea out there in the ether. It's
Mm-mm.
actually mentally rehearsing it as if it is true. And then I'm looking for any resistance in my energy system, any
Yes.
stories that are there. That's what you would bring to a coach. That's what you would bring up as like, hey, I need some help working through the story of I don't deserve it, or I don't know if I can do it, or it sounds like a lot of effort. I don't know if I'm up for the task. Like whatever those stories are that come up. And the more I've done it, the more I've mentally rehearsed it. Now when I log into the app and I don't see that yet, I'm like, psh, like it's coming. It's easy.
It's
It's
on
there.
its way. The train has left the station. It just hasn't docked yet.
How much fun am I having in the process? Like this is going to be so fun because one day it's going to be there and I will have seen it. It will be native to my system. So that does a
Mhm.
couple things for us. One, it collapsed time.
Yes.
I know it's going to happen way faster than if I was putting that off or not mentally rehearsing it because I'm bringing it to the forefront of my reality and I'm working through the resistance. I'm stripping the resistance away to allow myself to receive it. But the second thing it does is it allows me to celebrate it once it's there. And one thing I've
Hmm.
seen really high performing leaders, when we set these huge goals and we get there, we can self-sabotage. Sometimes for people I've known that leads to addiction or affairs or things where they like go way off on these side quests or they just kind of burn the business down because they don't feel worthy to have it. And so the power of mental rehearsal is two things. It's collapsing time. And it's reminding us that we are worthy, we are deserving, we are inherently lovable, exactly how we are, whether we hit this goal or not, but we're allowed to want more. We're allowed to choose, to bring it back to the transurfing, we're allowed to choose a different reality. And that's the power of identity work. And that's really how I want to help make it more practical for anyone listening on this call so that you can start these changes in your life.
And live the life that you are meant to live. And I mean, my inherent deep yearning is to end suffering in the
Mm,
world. And this love inspired leadership podcast bring people like yourself here to speak truth, to speak your own learned, practical, spiritual position, not only serving the world, but serving yourself and seeing the outcomes and the manifestation and the incredible joy and love that you have for this, and your bold, courageous willingness of listening 9 years ago to this internal voice of wisdom that was directing and calling, and you listened, you took action, and now it's coming again.
mm,
And I just commend you for your courage once again, because this is what it takes. So I want the audience to realize this is the depth of commitment that it takes to live a love inspired life.
mm,
So I think we have
mm.
filled this conversation with meaningful information, as well as the energy between you and I is very
Mm,
sacred and very honoring of one another. And I just thank you for
mm.
making the decision to come on my podcast, and it just feels really good. Thank you.
What a treat and joy. And I love that it is about love because I think this is not something that's talked about a lot in business.
Mm-mm.
But our businesses are a way to love on each other and love on the world and heal whatever parts of us are broken or forgotten, like whatever parts of us have forgotten our own greatness, and to shed light back on that. So thank you for making love a central part of this because I think that is one of the key ingredients in a business that makes a true impact on the world is to run around and love on each other and spread that light.
It is. And for decades, I brought in, ultimate service and, all these other words I used. And I'm just out of place right now. No, it's love
Hmm.
because this, what you talked about it today is love inspired leadership, not only for yourself, but the way you're serving your clients and supporting your clients to send out that ripple effect and that light onto their success, their families. I mean, this goes far and wide, but so much wisdom. Thank you for sharing your journey and your embodied leadership with us today. And I want to let our listeners know that also my gift I will be contributing in the show notes is the 21 days of sacred insight journey of living and leading above the line, which is love. And it's a pathway to presence, purpose, and inner alignment. And Cassie, you have a gift for our audience too. Can you share with us what that is?
Absolutely. So one of the challenges I've given myself this summer is to figure out how to quantify this leap, this deep inner work that's so sacred and so personal to each person. And I've spent the summer coming up with a 3D assessment. So it's really helping you look at what do I want? Do I feel like I deserve to have it? And then what decisions do I need to go make in order to become a match for my future self, in order to transurf and choose that future self? And so part of the magic of the assessment is taking it actually more than once, which people get to do in my coaching system. But I want to give you a taste of it. And some of the things that I've been so humbled to hear from people are that they feel truly seen and that they understand some of the internal blocks and opportunities to their own growth differently. So I'd love to gift that. And I actually have a bonus. This is off the cuff. So
Oh, great. I love those.
yeah, no, it just feels right if I'm going to love on people. So I don't know when we're going live, but on February 3rd, I will send you, Carolyn, the invite. And if you want to share it in the show notes, I'm doing the identity choreography live. It's 3 hours, and this is the core of what I do with clients. And I would love to gift your audience the chance to come to that. Normally, that would be at least 500. I've charged up to 1,500 for those sessions and more. But I would love to gift you the opportunity to come and do the choreography of the identity work on yourself at the top of the year so you can see and envision and future cast who you can become. So I will get you those notes and that opportunity, but I would love to invite anyone in this community that wants to unleash their gifts into the world and also be able to receive and exchange more love. This is the work of my heart and soul, and I want to make this available to more and more and more people.
Yay. I'm happy. So thank you. So, our beautiful listeners, founders, leaders here today, the last question, which I always ask a last question. So, who are you becoming
Mm.
next? Now that you've heard this incredible conversation, what is your intentional next step? Please add it to the information on LinkedIn, Facebook, or Instagram when we post this. And we'd love to have a conversation that goes even further. So, Cassie, honestly, bless you, my dear. And this has been such a meaningful conversation for me, too.
Thank you, Carolyn. What an absolute treat. And thank you to everyone listening. And I hope that this encourages you on your journey to share more love and share your leadership with the world.
Yay. Thank you. And until next time, we will see you on the Love Inspired Leadership podcast. Thank you.